So it's nice to be able to follow Amelia, who is one of our clients and has been one of the people driving us to the form of excellence and the focus on security that lives behind the solution that we at Votes had done. First, a little bit of background on myself. I come out of the payments industry, and for my sins, I am responsible for defining and working with Visa and MasterCard to create the standard that defines the secure element that you all find on your payment cards and you find inside your Google wallets and your Apple Pay devices, a place that we're able to store and manage cryptographic processes and essential to what we've done inside the Votes environment. The other part of my background is I've had the opportunity to sit down with a number of cryptographers. I can remember back in 1994, having the pleasure of sitting down with David Schoem in a Belgian coffee shop near the Gare du Midi, talking about the essential characteristics of digital signatures and digital certificates. And a couple of months ago, I was going back through some of the papers he delivered to me, and I found a slide that was reminiscent of what we now call the blockchain that he presented to a Visa, MasterCard, Europay group when we were looking at the concepts of digital certificates and DigiCash and other means of revolutionizing the way we looked at money. So in March of last year, Nimit asked me to join him as part of the Votes environment. He and I had worked together at a company called Idemia, which is a company that sells secure elements to people like Apple and Samsung and others, and builds and develops smart cards and creates security solutions that are used by people like the Federal Bureau of Investigation and police forces around the world, and is behind what is inside the Indian Aadhaar system. And he wanted to build and has built a secure, accessible remote ballot delivery, marking, and return solution using the integrity of the blockchain, making sure that we use the integrity of applications, and making sure that we understood that security was a journey that we needed to manage and go forward with. And we looked at the problems that Amelia has set in front of you, which is this question of the overseas voter who may be sitting in a manhole, or excuse me, a foxhole defending this nation, unable to get to a printer, unable to get to a post office, assuming he could get to a printer, and expecting to be able to participate in the election process. We cannot disenfranchise those people. And the disabled who may not be able to read the paper ballot because they're blind, and they may not be able to mark the paper ballot because they have no hands, and can use the technologies that we as practitioners of technology have built for them to enable them, as Stephen Hawking so aptly demonstrated, the ability to write when he had cerebral palsy. We wanted to make sure we securely addressed this question of remote voting. We wanted a mechanism to deal with the identity of the individual. We wanted a mechanism to make sure that it was the same individual who was linked to the voter registry that was being authenticated. We knew we had to deal with privacy. We had to deal with the concepts of anonymity, and we had to create an immutable record of the marked ballot. We also recognized that we had to deal with the accessibility of those abroad and at home. We needed to make sure that we served everybody. We did not want to have a solution that only supported the able-bodied. We had to also support the disabled and the remote. And we needed, as I said earlier, to make sure that we addressed the question of anonymity and end-to-end verifiability. Audrey talked about the verifiable ballot, that paper ballot. What we do is we create 3 different copies of the exact same material that through the audit process that can and is a civilian-enabled audit process, the ability to create a receipt that is returned to the voter. We create a paper ballot that, as Amelia has talked about, can be hashed, and we create a record on the blockchain. And when we do the audit, post-audit, be it by a third-party professional auditor, be it by the 2 or 3 parties that are involved in the election process, be it by the loser who has just lost the election, or be it by the citizen. We allow everyone to be able to look at the 3 copies of the marked ballot and confirm that the markings as seen by the voter on the receipt equal the markings as scanned by the election officials at the polling place and as recorded in an immutable record on the blockchain. Security. Security has been something I've been dealing with since I came out of university. I take the point that cybersecurity is a new term, but the concepts of security, the concepts of authentication, the needs to secure our environment are as old as computer systems. And we recognize that we've got to address the question of the device. And when we think about voting and we move the ballot marking to the device, we change the attack surface. It's not the server in the middle. It's not the central office in the middle. It's not the polling place that has human beings. It is the millions of devices that are being uniquely operated by the millions of voters. We then look at the networks and make sure that we build out networks. Part of the value of blockchain and the distributed ledger is I write to many. So a denial of service attack means that I've got to figure out every node that somebody sending in their ballot from their device is writing to. And then we recognize the distributed nature of a distributed ledger. If I change one record, I don't change the result. I have to change, in our case, 100% of the records to alter the content. It's redundant. If one server blows up, the other nodes on the network are protected. And through the use of digital signatures, through the use of hashes, through the use of the chain, the record is immutable.
And Philip, I got to give you a 2-minute warning.
That's perfect. In terms of where we are, we understand that prevention and detection are essential. So we build into our applications, into our processes, into the human environment, the need to prevent security attacks. And we then make sure that our technologies are able to assist us in detecting attacks. We've had 75 elections. We have never been hacked. People have tried. We have announced that they have tried, and we've been blamed for announcing that somebody attempted to hack into an election. And finally, it is a journey. It's layering. It is all about continually improving on security, because like every method, there will always be a threat vector, and it's our job as the implementers, as the practitioners, as the election officials to make sure that we always address the future and known threat vectors that exist. And that brings me to the end of my conversation today.